Fear. It's a primal force. Fear has shaped human history, sometimes as a life-saving instinct, a crucial alarm in the face of danger. But all too often, it morphs into a poison, twisting our values, distorting our perceptions, and ultimately clouding our judgment. It can turn neighbor against neighbor, breeding suspicion where trust once thrived. It can silence dissent, stifling the voices of reason and critical thought, and it can make a society forget its most cherished principles in the name of security, trading liberty for a false sense of safety. The Red Scare in America is a stark and unsettling story of this kind of fear, a period where paranoia gripped the nation. It's a cautionary tale we must revisit, dissect, and understand if we are to truly understand who we are as a nation and as individuals. There were two distinct waves of this Red Scare. The first surged after the tumultuous years of World War I. The second, and perhaps more infamous, unfolded during the long shadow of the Cold War. Both were undeniably fueled by global events, by the specter of communism abroad, but their true and lasting power came from anxieties that ran deep within the American psyche. In these moments, fear of a foreign ideology became a potent weapon, tragically changing countless lives and fundamentally altering the nation's character. To truly understand the Red Scare is to explore the delicate and often precarious balance between liberty and security. It is also to witness with clear eyes the devastating human cost of intolerance and the dangers of unchecked power. These stories are not just relics of a bygone era gathering dust in history books. They are echoes of our own contemporary struggles with fear, with the need for belonging, and with the ever-present challenge of defining who we are. The fight to uphold a free and just society is a perpetual one, demanding constant vigilance, unwavering empathy, and a commitment to truth. The Red Scare matters profoundly because the underlying forces that created it, the fear of the other, of those who are different from us, the suspicion of new ideas, of challenging the status quo, and the ever-present temptation to sacrifice fundamental freedoms for the illusion of absolute safety. These are timeless, universal human struggles. By carefully examining this turbulent period in American history, we seek not just to condemn the errors of the past, but to learn from them. We look deeply into the faces of the accused, those who were caught in the crosshairs of suspicion and paranoia. We examine the motivations and actions of the accusers, those who wielded fear as a weapon. And we confront the uncomfortable truth of the silent bystanders, those who stood by and watched as injustice unfolded. In doing so, we arm ourselves with the wisdom, the knowledge, and the empathy necessary to ensure that the shadows of the past do not darken our future and that the light of reason and justice prevails. The year is 1919. A new era dawns, filled with both hope and uncertainty. The Great War is over, finally bringing an end to years of bloodshed, but peace remains fragile and elusive. Returning soldiers, eager to resume their lives, found a nation in turmoil, economic instability gripping the country, coupled with the largest wave of labor strikes in history. Workers demanded better wages and improved working conditions, but their actions, fueled by genuine grievances, were increasingly seen as the first tremors of a much larger revolution. The fear, amplified by sensational headlines, had a name: Bolshevism. Lenin's successful 1917 revolution in Russia terrified the American establishment, who saw it as a direct threat to their way of life, even as only a few radicals within the United States genuinely embraced it and its ideals. Newspapers and politicians relentlessly warned of a red menace, a shadowy communist conspiracy lurking in the heart of American cities. Anti-immigrant sentiment surged dramatically, targeting millions of immigrants, particularly those arriving from Southern and Eastern Europe. These newcomers were unfairly seen as outsiders, potential subversives eager to undermine American values. In this already volatile and highly charged mix, a series of anarchist bombings in 1919 ignited a full-blown national panic. Bombs were mailed to prominent politicians and judges, making the pervasive fear very real, immediate, and deeply personal for many. The government, under immense public pressure, was now poised to act decisively, not just against the actual bombers, but against thousands of innocent individuals whose only crime was holding dissenting beliefs or having foreign origins. The stage was now irrevocably set for the first Red Scare in American history. Fear, whipped into a frenzy, was about to become enshrined as official government policy. Attorney General A. Mitchell Palmer, once a progressive, seized the moment to position himself as the nation's protector. With J. Edgar Hoover, Palmer launched the Palmer Raids, massive coordinated crackdowns in dozens of cities. Federal agents stormed immigrant organizations, union halls, and private homes, arresting thousands, often without warrants. Detainees were held in harsh conditions, denied lawyers, and interrogated. Most targets were immigrants, many simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Hundreds were deported, families torn apart. The American dream became a nightmare of suspicion and persecution. The panic faded quickly after Palmer's predicted May Day uprising never materialized. Public opinion turned, and legal voices condemned the government's excesses. The damage, however, was done a precedent set for fear-driven repression. America had learned how easily it could turn on its own. In 1920, a robbery and murder in Massachusetts led to the arrest of two Italian immigrants, Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti. Both were known anarchists, and their beliefs overshadowed the evidence. The trial was riddled with prejudice, contradictory testimony, weak evidence, and a hostile judge. The prosecution focused on their radicalism, not the facts. The jury found them guilty, sending shockwaves worldwide. Protests erupted, with many seeing them as martyrs to fear and xenophobia. Appeals failed. Sacco and Vanzetti were executed in 1927. Their case remains a symbol of how fear and prejudice can poison justice. When panic rules, the presumption of innocence is lost. The consequences can be tragic and irreversible. After World War II, America emerged as a superpower, but victory brought new anxieties. The Soviet Union, once an ally, was now the enemy, and the threat of communism felt more menacing than ever. The Second Red Scare began a broader, more systematic wave of repression. Fears of communist infiltration gripped the government military schools, and Hollywood President Truman's loyalty program investigated millions, often on vague grounds. The House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, became the nation's chief communist hunter, holding sensational hearings. Refusing to cooperate was seen as guilt. The fear was everywhere in headlines, radio civil defense drills, and government propaganda. Conformity was prized, dissent was dangerous. People avoided organizations, magazines, and opinions that might label them as Reds. Suspicion became a way of life. In 1950, Senator Joseph McCarthy claimed to have a list of communists in the State Department. The list was never produced, but McCarthy's accusations ignited a national frenzy. McCarthyism became synonymous with reckless slander, guilt by association, and media manipulation. Televised hearings turned into spectacles of accusation and intimidation. Careers and reputations were destroyed overnight. Politicians feared opposing McCarthy, lest they be targeted themselves. For years, he seemed untouchable, enforcing rigid orthodoxy and silencing dissent. The turning point came with the Army McCarthy hearings broadcast live. Joseph Welch's famous rebuke, "Have you no sense of decency?" broke McCarthy's spell. The Senate censured him, but the scars of his crusade lingered. The damage to trust and civil discourse was lasting. The Second Red Scare hit Hollywood hard. In 1947, HUAC targeted the film industry, subpoenaing writers, directors, and producers. The Hollywood 10 refused to testify, citing First Amendment rights, and were jailed and blacklisted. The blacklist grew, fueled by fear and informers. To work again, artists had to renounce their beliefs and name others. This tore the community apart, careers ruined, friendships betrayed. Hundreds of talented artists were silenced or forced to work under pseudonyms. Some, like Dalton Trumbo, won Oscars in secret, others left the country. The blacklist was a profound loss for American culture. It imposed a chilling effect on creativity and free expression. the wounds would take decades to heal. The Red Scare was a personal tragedy for thousands of ordinary Americans. Professors, union organizers, teachers, and librarians lost jobs over mere suspicion. Fear seeped into every corner, workplaces, neighborhoods, even families. Robert Oppenheimer, father of the atomic bomb, lost his security clearance over past associations and moral doubts. Government employees were investigated for the flimsiest reasons: gossip, accusations, or reading habits. Invasive questions and secret evidence destroyed reputations and livelihoods. Thousands lost jobs, faith in their country shaken. The psychological toll was immense, families broken, lives derailed. Some fell into despair, a few took their own lives. The Red Scare was not a victimless crusade. Its cost was measured in broken careers and shattered families. It showed how political panic inflicts real, lasting pain. The Red Scare eventually faded from the forefront of American consciousness, but the fundamental questions it raised remain strikingly urgent and relevant even today. McCarthy was ultimately disgraced, his influence waning after his reckless accusations were exposed. The Supreme Court, recognizing the erosion of civil liberties, began to push back against the excesses of the era, and the infamous Hollywood blacklist, which had ruined so many careers, gradually crumbled under the weight of its own injustice. But the lessons of this dark chapter in American history endure, serving as a constant reminder of the fragility of freedom. The first lesson is a stark one. Fear can be easily manipulated by those in power, leading society to abandon its most cherished core principles, the very foundations upon which it was built. These include free speech, due process under the law, and the fundamental presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Patriotism, a noble sentiment, must never be confused with blind conformity, nor should the pursuit of security be used as a justification for unwarranted repression of individual liberties. A healthy democracy requires the courage to tolerate dissenting voices and to actively protect the rights of even the smallest minority. The second crucial lesson is that responsible citizenship demands constant vigilance and active participation. The excesses of the Red Scare were in part enabled by the silence of ordinary citizens and by a public all too willing to believe the worst accusations without demanding evidence. We must always question authority, especially when it demands unquestioning obedience, stand up resolutely against injustice wherever we find it, and cultivate the ability to be critical and discerning consumers of information from all sources. Today, new fears, fueled by technological advancements, constantly test the boundaries of our freedoms and challenge our commitment to core values. The echoes of the Red Scare serve as a potent warning, reminding us to be ever vigilant. When, in the name of security, does legitimate protection cross the line into unacceptable repression? The complex tapestry of the past offers no easy or simplistic answers to these enduring questions, but it does offer invaluable wisdom gleaned from the hard-won experiences of those who came before us. As has been said, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, a price we must be willing to pay in every generation.